part of an institution that cares so little whether I'm there or not? I don't know about you. I want to be part of a community that notices what I'm missing. It says, hey, we need you. Not as a guilt trip, but as a reminder that each one of us constitutes a part of the fabric of the community. And when one person is missing, the community is not whole, and we feel the difference. It's simply not possible for us to get what we need from a community without giving something to the community. As the Commission report points out, you can't join a community. You can only help to constitute a community. It's not something that exists independent of any of us. As soon as we step in, we are part of it. We have become a piece of the community. So we are creating the community every time we gather. And it won't be any stronger than our participation makes it. We can't get out of it any more than we put into it. And of course, the corollary to that is that the more we put into it, the more we're able to get out. It's only as we participate and become part of the fabric of that community that we begin to belong, that it becomes our community. That's one of the reasons we're having the Community Opportunity Fair after the service today, and we're so confident that it's going to be so much fun that we're calling it the first annual Community Opportunity Fair, because it's a chance to see all the different possible ways that you can connect to this congregation. Yes, some of them are volunteer opportunities, but others of them are just ways to connect, get to know people, and have fun. Groups that you don't have to do a job to be part of, but where you can connect and become part of that fabric of community. Individuality, and here's where I struggled, because I told Jody half an hour before I was leaving the house, I suddenly realized, this is 2 different sermons. But you're getting both of them, so I hope you're hungry. Individuality is they're very closely related. Individuality is a very big deal in Unitarian Universalism. We pride ourselves on celebrating each individual. We pride ourselves on welcoming individuals who are very different from one another. We've always been founded in the individual search for truth and meaning and the right to conscience of each individual. Our first principle talks about the inherent worth and dignity of every person, every individual person. We don't always remember that the 7th principle, the one that with the first bookends all the others, is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We are not, in fact, independent. We are radically interdependent. We need one another all the time. Now, the Transcendentalists back in the mid-1800s really pushed us down that individualistic path, because once you could find God by walking in the woods all by yourself, what do you need a community for? If the point of a spiritual community was to deepen one's relationship with God, or with the divine, or with that overarching spirit of life, then the Transcendentalists said, well, we can do that all by ourselves. It encouraged a solitary sort of spirituality that I think does work extremely well for some people. But the fact is that most of us need the company of other people on the journey. We need other people in order to feel whole. There was a wonderful cartoon in the New Yorker years ago, showed Henry David Thoreau kicked back, leaning against a tree with Walden Pond in the background. He's writing a postcard to Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the caption is, "How Thoreau Kept Walden Unspoiled." And Thoreau was writing, "Dear Ralph, you'd hate it here. It's so boring. Love, Henry." But even Henry David Thoreau, during his year of solitude at Walden Pond, had plenty of sociability. Friends were always coming to his little cabin to visit with him. He went home frequently to his mother's house, not only to eat lunch, but to have her do his laundry. I read that somewhere and it really tickled me. The great solitary sage of Concord going home to see Mom. And that's wonderful. We're designed to be social, interdependent, not isolated beings. We can only thrive in community. That's why the issue of belonging somewhere is so important for us. There was another New Yorker cartoon, also long years back. Simple line drawing of a wolf sitting on a snowy hillside. The caption read, "Lone Wolf." And above the wolf were 4 little thought bubbles: proud, resourceful, independent, cold. We get tired of being cold. We get tired of being lone wolves out there, trying to be resourceful all by ourselves. But we bring that independence and that pride with us when we come into community. And sometimes it can get in the way of deepening the community that we seek. I'm part of a small group of ministers who meet once a month for 3 hours every month to both challenge and support each other in our ministries. We share stories out of the work we're doing. We lay out our deepest fears, the places where we think we've made the worst mistakes. We ask each other for help. We cry with each other. And you might think this sounds like a women's support group, but I'm in fact the only woman in the group. It is largely a male group who work with that level of vulnerability and trust together, which is particularly special for me to witness because it's not something I've been part of before. We've grown very close over the years, and we cherish that group to an astonishing degree. I mean, within the first year, we found ourselves saying things like, "Oh, I've just never experienced anything like this." It was like having a crush, because that level of communication and trust is such a rare thing. So when a conflict erupted between 2 of our members, it was devastating for the entire group. And the 2 with the conflict had to accept the fact that their personal issues with each other were affecting not just the 2 of them, but all of us. And they recognized their responsibility to the whole group to work out their differences and find reconciliation. Because it wasn't only their business, it was the group's business. Our covenant together called them to work things out. That's something that true community asks of us. I think of our Jewish brothers and sisters who celebrated Yom Kippur yesterday, the holiest day of the Jewish year, the Day of Atonement. And in Judaism, when you seek on Yom Kippur to be reconciled with God, it presupposes that during the 8 days prior to that, you have been doing the hard work of reconciling with your fellow human beings. Because that is how we create a fabric of community that is strong enough for us then to be healthy in our own sense of spiritual wholeness, however we define that. Only once we are reconciled with one another can we be reconciled with the source of life itself. It's a creative tension that we have to live with all the time. This tension between being an individual with our individual needs and rights and being part of a community and connected to others who have needs of their own. And I think we're all constantly creating and recreating the balance that allows healthy community to flourish. I want to add a story here because I'm going to be doing a commitment ceremony in early October for 2 women who called me saying they had planned to do it just by themselves with some friends doing some readings, and then they realized they really wanted someone to preside and bring that sense of spiritual seriousness to what they were doing. Now, one of these women is Italian, from Italy, Italian Catholic. The other woman comes out of a Mormon family. The Italian woman's family is all Catholic. The Mormon woman's family is all Mormon. And they're all coming to the union ceremony. Now, they don't all feel completely comfortable with what these 2 women are doing. But they all are placing the harmony of the family as a community above their individual discomforts and tensions around the issue of gay unions. And they're able to set that discomfort aside and say, we love our daughter, we want our daughter to be happy, we want the fabric of our family to remain solid. And so we will be here and we will rejoice with you. That's community. Now, there were 4 of us who went to a leadership team institute. Jim and Nancy were there, and Jody and I. It was a Unitarian Universalist training ground. I told a story about that last week. We talked there about this tension between the individual and the community, and that there's always some anxiety involved with that. We get anxious because we don't want to be too isolated, but at the same time, we don't want to be